In addition to higher prices, some parents are facing another issue at the grocery store, a devastating shortage of baby formula. Some store shelves are left with only one single can of Similac, while other shelves are almost completely empty. Nationwide, over 40% of baby formula supplies are out of stock due to a product recall and supply chain issues as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. All of it leading parents to drive hours going from store to store to store to get supplies, or in some cases, rationing baby formula to make ends meet. Joining me now is Inay Oh. She's a senior news and engagement editor at Mother Jones. And what is it like out here right now for parents who are literally on the hunt searching for baby formula?
I mean, it's exactly that. It's really not overstating the situation to say that it is a crisis. When you go to the store, and multiple stores oftentimes in one given night, and you're seeing just completely emptied out shelves. That if you happen to stumble upon a stash, you consider yourself lucky. But as you mentioned, people are literally rationing the supplies that they do have. It's a really frightening scenario because babies are being put in a potentially life-threatening situation. It is really jeopardizing.
You wrote in a recent piece that, quote, the misguided notion that a woman could simply turn on her left breast like some kind of free-flowing spigot, coupled with the blanket ignorance of basic understandings of how babies literally stay alive, is frankly embarrassing. So lay out for us why lawmakers and their inaction in this particular moment stems from an ignorance and the view that this is a, quote, woman's problem.
Totally. I mean, I wrote the piece largely out of frustration, and not just for lawmakers. I think just, the population at large, a frustration and frankly, a disbelief that this scenario wasn't getting the amount of attention that I thought that this deserved, especially until this week. I think. But yeah, a lot of the suggestions I was seeing online, especially on social media, especially from men, were, why don't you just breastfeed? And that, frankly, is not reflective of how millions of women and millions of just caretakers are tending to their kids. For whatever reason, whether it's a health reason or it's way more difficult than is portrayed in the media or in Hollywood. But breastfeeding is not for everyone. And I have a 7-month-old, and I gave it up shortly before returning back to work because it was just way too exhausting. And at this point, I said this online, but yeah, I wouldn't be able to just, turn on a button and have, all the breast milk that I wanted, although that would be amazing. That's just not the reality. And it's just scientifically wrong to even suggest that. So yeah, the situation for me, even personally, it's scary. And it's very frustrating that is, that's the perception out there that you can just breastfeed. So yeah, that's where this piece really came from.
Imagine a world where policymakers understood the things that they were setting, the areas they're setting policy in. Imagine a world. So since the beginning of this pandemic, we've suffered from a lot of supply chain issues globally. This was one of the first thoughts I had when I first started reading about the baby formula shortage. But baby formula is actually a U.S.-centered issue from what I've read. And so I want to know, how are the problems of the supply chain, inflation, and the recall of baby formula specifically, how are they compounded to cause this shortage?
Well, I mean, it's exactly that. Since even before the recall in February, I think the out of stock rates were starting to rise at the beginning of 2021. It was something like 2 to 8%, I believe. And that just kept ticking up over the course of the last year. And in February, with this recall, from Abbott, which is it's like the biggest manufacturer of the 3, I think, top brands out there. That just, like you said, just really made things way worse. And that led to the current situation of 40% of stock being just out. And I believe in some places close to 50%. So just like all those factors have really just collided and have left us with what we have now, which is people having to drive hours out of their way to secure food for their infants. And it's again, it's not a hyperbole to say that the first year of any parent's life, any kid's life is extremely hard for caretakers. So to just add this on top of it against the backdrop of rising inflation, it's just, it's a mess, and it is scary.
I mean, I'm just having like the picture in my mind of a mother driving an extra hour, or a parent driving an extra hour with a crying, hungry baby when gas is $6. I feel like that's a frustrating lived experience.
Yeah. And it's like, wow, you have like, parents don't have an extra out of their day. Like, I can't wait till my kid gets put down for the night at like 7:30. I don't have enough hours to do that. And you're right, with like, it costs a lot of money now to just drive your car. So yeah, it's pretty bad.
I shout out to the parents out there who have really taken the brunt and caregivers of really some of these compound impacts of the pandemic. Ine, thank you so much for being here. Really important conversation. Please stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.